name is Ramon del Castillo. They call me Raymond of the Castle when they passed English only. But my name is Ramon, so if you call me Raymond of the Castle, I'll accept the joke. Right? When we talk about building leadership, this young lady here has been with us since she was born. And she used to come to the meetings and cry. Now she goes, ah! Now she does the Chicano, grito. Okay, we're teaching her fundamentals of leadership, everything that we understand. So she's going to be, in 2 or 3 years, she's going to be helping to play a different kind of role with this. This is Xochitl Martinez. Put your hands together for Xochitl. See, she is also going to welcome you and talk about the mission of the CESAR Chavez Peace and Justice Committee of Denver.
Welcome to everyone and to all the families. Our mission is to pay tribute to homage to the ideas of justice and nonviolence embodied by Cesar E. Chavez as one of the America's greatest leaders, whose legacy for global working class interests and whose contributions towards peace and humanity for all should be remembered and practiced. Please visit the kids area next to the playground. We will be teaching about CESAR Chavez and Dolores Huerta. And we have face painting too. I also want to give a shout out to, I see a foster family over there. Thank you.
All right, tell me that we're not building leadership for her to stand in front of a group like this. All right, yeah, si se puede. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Si se puede. Are you saying something? Or one more time. Si se puede. Si se puede. I have the distinct honor of introducing our keynote speaker. I met this lady in 1972 in an organization that was called the Apostles for Justice in Greeley, Colorado. She's from the Valle and had been going back and forth, if I remember correctly. And on many occasions, I know that she was affiliated with the UMass and Mecha from the University of Colorado at Boulder. But she also used to travel into northern Colorado and attend our meetings at that time when we were going to UNC. She's a luchadora. She's a revolutionary at heart. She's a Pachuca highly developed. She has a PhD in political science from DU. Those things aren't easy to get, so don't call her a doctor, call her a Pachuca highly developed. That's what a PhD is in our community. With that in mind, she's been doing research and has written it extensively in journals, in magazines, but she just finished a book that's really related to the work that we're doing and the work that Cesar Chavez used to do, as well as Dolores Huerta, and that's work with working class people. She wrote a book on the Kiriyama strike that took place. So I want you to put your hands together for Dr. Priscilla Falcon.
I'd like to thank the CESAR Chavez Committee for giving me the honor of speaking to you here today. I want to welcome all of you who are here. I know a lot of us here that are of the 60s and 70s generation that were active during this time period that is so essential, that formulated what we have come to know as the Chicano movement. And for all our young people that are out there, these are the leaders. We just heard Xochitl. We have a leadership that is being born, that is coming up, that is here to take our place when we are no longer here. Many people from my generation have passed on, your relatives, your uncles, your grandparents, and that is a history that is being lost. We need to write about those histories. We need to write about that story that is no longer told. I'd like to talk about this idea of remembrance and memory. Remembrance and memory is activism. Where every day when we remember one action or one person or one political activity, that took place in our lifetime, in this lifespan called the Chicano movement, we have continued the remembrance of that movement. Today we need to get back to what some of those, just jiggle it. That's what I do. I kick things and then they work. Okay, here we are. So let me just give you a brief idea about what this was all about. Many of us that were activists, and we were kids like you guys. We were 20, 18. I was 17 when I walked onto the University of Colorado at Boulder campus. I was 17 from the San Luis Valley, green as heck, didn't know anything, only had seen white people and brown people get to Boulder, and it's this crazy place. But in the midst of all that craziness, there were brown folks who created the United Mexican American Student Organization. People like Luis Torres. We have a past president of UMAS here, that's Sal Peralta. Many people put their little grain of sand so that we could create social change. And that social change came at a cost. We talk about that, and I think our young people need to know what that cost entails. It's not all about me. It's about what we have to do to uplift our society, our people. Look around us. Look at where we are. We have no more places here because gentrification has taken over every aspect of our communities, from the northern Colorado to the San Luis Valley. We can't even buy water anymore. It's a terrible thing that's happened. There's a lot of fight left in our communities that young people have to be engaged in. Yes, there were us who came before and did the things that we did, and I want to mention a couple things. In 1965, Larry Itlong, who was a Filipino, went out on strike in Delano in the grape strike, started the grape strike with 1,000 Filipinos, him and a man named Pete Valesco. We can never forget our Filipino brothers and sisters, people. We did not do this on our own. There was always people with us. There was always allies. There was always supporters. And we have to recognize those people. Larry Itlong went and met with CESAR Chavez and Dolores Huerta and said, hey folks, let's get together. So on September the 16th, they joined forces. Imagine September 16th, right? 1965. And that became the birth of what we know as the grape strike. Two peoples coming together in solidarity to create social change. That's what we need today. We need more solidarity. We need to work with people across the aisles. We need to establish no more borders. We don't need borders, whether they're internal borders, psychological borders, or borders between the United States and the rest of the world. We need to support the liberation struggles, like the struggle in Palestine, people that are dying every day for existence, and the United States supports the Israelis in that particular war. Let me get back to the Chavez strike. So in relationship to the Filipinos and the Mexicanos and the Chicanos came together, and after 5 years, from 1965 to 1970, they won the grape contracts with the growers, and they were able to unionize. There's some people here that are representing unions. Where are they? We got a weak showing there, folks. Unions save people. Unions are great. We need unions. I want to wrap that around to what happened with Brighton and CESAR Chavez at Larry Itlong's story. In 1968, Lupe Breseño and several women from Brighton, Colorado, they were maybe middle-aged, were working at a 60-unit greenhouses. They weren't working in a little field where there were flowers. They were working in 60 units of greenhouse that was owned by Ray Kitayama. The working conditions were terrible. There was humidity year-round. They were walking in mud all the time. They went home with colds and flus and sinus and all of these things. They were paid under minimum wage. They worked 6 days a week. They were not off on holidays. Somehow I must not be able to talk today. And so they decided to go on strike. The first thing they did is they called the AFL-CIO in Colorado. Colorado said, please call CESAR Chavez and the farm workers. CESAR Chavez was not able to come to Brighton. And so he sent our good friend, the Filipino Larry Itlong. Larry Itlong came to Denver. He went to Brighton. He met with the farm workers there in the greenhouse. And on July the 1st of 1968, they initiated a strike. That strike would last for 18 months. And there was a lot of support from the United Mexican American Students in Boulder, UMass here at UCD Metro. There was SDS, our radical white friends from Boulder were always there. You had the unions were supporting them. The Colorado Labor Council supported the strike in Brighton. And so it was a collection of a group of people. The allies came together, but it was not enough. It was not enough. But it was not enough. The women sacrificed. There was not enough donations that came in. And so in the end, Lupe was the only one on the picket line. To be on the picket line is a very hard... I never cross a picket line. Never. If you're ever out there and there's a picket, never cross a picket line. Because those people have sacrificed everything. They've given up everything. They have not enough food for their families. And that's why they go out on the picket line. And so many of the families, when they had to go out to work, they went to the beets, the sugar beets, which northern Colorado is famous for, and also the agriculture, the vegetable crops that grow in northern Colorado. So in the end, by January and December, January, and February, Lupe was the only one on the picket line. Ray Kitayama and his hired security guards had tried to run over Lupe and her family. She was in court once a month for the past 10 months. It became very difficult for her. There was not donations that were coming in to help them support what they were doing. And so on the 1st of February, these 5 women decided they were going to end the strike. So Lupe tells me, she tells me this story, and she says, we wanted to follow CESAR Chavez. We were nonviolent. We were peaceful. And so I went to the lumber yard and I bought a logging chain. So I'm sitting at the table, I'm writing all this down, right? And she's telling me this story. And she said, I bought a logging chain and I hid it from my husband. Jose Breseño is a wonderful man, by the way, but she didn't want him to know what they were going to do. So she bought the logging chain, 2 locks. The 5 women practiced throughout the 2 weeks. On February the 15th of 1969, they showed up to the Kitayama gates at 6 in the morning. And if you're familiar with northern Colorado, it is kind of in a dip, and so there's a lot of fog that rolls in. So it was a very foggy morning. You couldn't see the lights. The ladies got the chain, and they got in front of the Kitayama gate, and they wrapped the chain around their waist and into the fence. And then one woman locked one side of the chain to the fence, and the other woman locked the other side. And then Lupe put the key in her seno. If you don't know what that means, ask somebody next to you. She put her key in her bra, okay? So then all of a sudden they heard sirens. And they thought that the police were coming from, the sheriffs from Weld County were going to come and arrest them. That's what they were prepared for. So you had Lupe Breseño, Mary Silas, Rachel Sandoval was 6 months pregnant, Mary Padilla, and Marta del Rey. And so they were all chained. They were between 30 and 40 years old. And so the sheriffs from Weld County come in. They see the women. The coordinator of the sheriffs was a man named Richard Martinez. It's our own people that we do each other in, people. You know what I'm saying? We do each other in. And it was Richard Martinez, the sheriff from Weld County, that gave the order to the undersheriffs to tear gas the women. So they walk up to the women. 2 folks come in and they try to use a torch to cut the chain away from the folks that are chained to the fence. The women are shaking the chain, and there's photos of this. It was a big deal in the Denver Post. because you have to be still if you're going to use a torch. So they're shaking the torches. Finally, they get the chain cut on both ends, and then the Sergeant Ruiz comes in and he tear gases all the women, and so then the women are still chained. They fall to the ground, and that is the story that Lupe Breseño tells about the Kiriyama strike. And so I've had the wonderful opportunity to see this lady, to talk to her, and today she just celebrated, and some of the people from Su Teatro were there recently, and we celebrated her 91st birthday. She's in hospice, but she did get to see the book published, and that is like one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And so I want to say to you, to young people, history is memory. Listen to what the people are saying. Look at the people that are here that have a little bit of white hair. Go talk to them. They have a story. We just didn't get old all of a sudden. We were on the streets. We were in this north side. We were doing all kinds of stuff, all kinds of what people would call crazy stuff. And now it's all taken back. But they can never take our history back if we write it. They can never take our memories away if we keep celebrating. And that is why we are here today, because we have to celebrate these memories. We have to celebrate our history. And most of all, we have to write our history. Que viva la raza!
What I want to do is spend a couple of minutes introducing you or announcing our partners and donors. The work that we do comes through fundraising, proposal writing. I'm glad to say that there's a lot of union members here today from the SEIU, the UFCW, from the AFL-CIO, the carpenters, the electricians, and they're here because they understand the struggle, because they're part of it in terms of the work and the deprivation that they go through in their jobs. So some of those folks, we want to give a shout out to Regis University, obviously to the CESAR CHAVEZ Peace and Justice Committee of Denver, to the Denver Community Development Corporation. They are managing our funds and the bureaucratic side of what we do. The UFCW Local 7, the commercial food and commercial workers, the Sociedad Protección Mutua de Trabajadores Unidos, the SPMDTU, all the way from the San Luis Valley, but they also have a camp here. Dr. Antonio Lucero is part of their board of directors. We want to give a shout out to the Denver Classroom Teachers Association. They've been coming for several years. We want to give a big shout out to a newspaper that really covers those events that aren't always popular, and that's El Seminario, the weekly issue. I know that Chris is here with their podcast here. Chris, are you here? Give Chris a big round of applause. They've been around and working with us for several years. Elite Sound, the gentleman that is doing the work with the sound machine here. Niagara Bottling, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the Local 68, Local 111, the SEIU number 5, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. We had a woman from American Family who for 3 years now has just written us a check that she gives us, and she sometimes has set up camp here, but she's really given from her heart to do that. Want to give a shout out to Gloria Padilla Garcia and Jim Garcia. Jim is the executive director of the health clinic Tepeyac, the newly developed health clinic. We want to give a shout out to Diana, Noah, Ezra, and Noah Jr. Lopez Atencio for their contribution. We want to give a shout out to Blazing Cloud Consulting LLC. Of course, not only does our new leader here speak and do work, she and her mom, Charlene Barrientos Ortiz, also make a donation to this cause. So let's put our hands together. That would not be possible if we didn't have that. Now we're gonna give away some awards, and I got to tell you, when we had decided upon this person to give her an award, I wanted to hopefully be the person that would be the one that would give it to her, because I've known her for many years. Give me a second here. If you were to travel back in history, like Dr. Falcon was talking about, and if you were to go to Our Lady Guadalupe Church, and if you were to go to the back with a wall in front of it. In back of that wall is a mural, a la Virgen de Guadalupe, that the priest there built around the mural because he did not like it. That mural was painted by Carlota Espinosa. Well, that teed me off. I was writing for a seminario, and I wrote a column said, the 11th commandment, thou shalt not build walls. That's a disgrace that our own people do that to us. It's bad enough that we have walls being built across the Southwest, that we then have to come to our own communities and have to deal with the same thing. I would encourage people that belong to that parish, because I left that parish, to go back and talk to them and say, you do not understand Chicano history, because if you did, you wouldn't have done that. So that struggle is not yet over. In the end, justice is going to prevail there, I guarantee you. Secondly, if you go to the library on 7th Street, 6th Street in Santa Fe Drive, it's a library. I think it was just, not think, it was named after a Native American, and I couldn't think of the name, but it used to be the Buyer's Library. It's a mural called Pasado, Presente y Futuro, and it's a mural that's up there that's going to be there forever, because murals will remain there, but we have to be vigilant about what we do. On that note, I'm going to tell you something. This what we got here, the statue that we have here, the top part of it, at any given time, people in this community, if they wanted to, they could go through the political process and get that taken out and get the name of this park changed again. And that's why we have to honor that legacy here. And we do it by honoring other artists whose work has been in our community for a long time. And then if you go to the Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez Library, you're going to see the 3 Mexican Heroes mural done by this person. So I want to introduce someone who's already part of history, whose legacy is already here, and I would like to give her a standing ovation. Put your hands together for Carlota Espinosa.
I have many gratitudes. The first gratitude is all you people that came. You're beautiful, very beautiful. And there's a lot of talented people in this group all over here. And thank you for coming. The next gratitude I have is for Ramon del Castillo. He's a professor, a teacher, a businessman, a husband, a father, a grandfather. This man is amazing. He's written many books, and he's working on another one. Aren't you? Yeah. And he's his wife is very supportive and with him, and he's a really great man. Thank you, Ramon. He says this is about you. Cállate. No, he didn't say cállate. My son, Miguel Espinosa, is a flamenco jazz player. He's over here. We're going to have him play some music, but he forgot his guitar. He's a wonderful son. And anyway, I wanted to say thank you for what Caesar did when he was working the fields for our food, everybody's food. And they were putting poison to kill the insects into the food, and he did a lot of protesting about it, and that's how he brought a lot of farmers together to protest, and he also protests a lot of
muralist, the first in the country.
It's beautiful.
Buenas tardes. Gracias por acompañarnos hoy en este hermoso día Cuando me levanté hoy, le pedí a Dios que nos diera buen tiempo, and He gave us a beautiful day, right? You know, Nikki Gonzalez is our next awardee, and all of our awardees embody the ideals of CESAR Chavez. And those ideals were, they've demonstrated a history of nonviolence, they have empowered the community through organizing, they fight for peace and dignity of their community, they fight for the better lives of working people. Also, all of them organize with the underprivileged and the underrepresented. They educate and involve others in our social struggles. They persist against great odds, and they lead by example. So Nikki Gonzalez embodies all of these ideals. She serves on numerous roles in the community and within the Denver community. Nikki is a native of Denver, and her family has deep roots in southern Colorado and in northern New Mexico. She's a professor of history and a vice provost of diversity and inclusion at Regis University. And in 2021, on Colorado Day, which is August 1st, she began a one-year term as the Colorado State Historian. Dr. Gonzalez is the first Latina who's held that position as a state historian. Her historical expertise focuses in on Chicano history of the Southwest and on political movements. At Regis University, Dr. Gonzalez is loved by her students. In March, they selected her to receive the David Law Award, which recognizes contributions of faculty and staff and those who serve beyond their regular duties at the university. Her students cherish her words. And at that same ceremony a couple weeks ago, the students had printed on stickers her words that she's famous for. And these are the words that are on those stickers. 1, they can take your money, they can take your house, they can take your car, but no one can take away your education. Another one of those sayings is, our histories teach us that we are resilient and creative, and we have a responsibility to preserve and share those with our younger generations. And finally, the last wording they had on one of those stickers says, do everything with love. Haz todo con amor. So I'd like to call Dr. Gonzalez up.
Keep this really short. I just want to say thank you to the committee. Thank you, Dr. Esquivel, for those nice words. And I have to be really careful because I guess my students do listen to me, and I have to be careful what I say because it'll end up on a sticker. So yeah, thank you for digging up that information. I work with Dr. Esquivel's son, Tomas, so I think that's probably where you got your information. But I want to acknowledge my family who's in the front row here, my dad, Joe, my mom, Bert, my 2 sons, Danny and Teddy, my brother-in-law, Jason, and my sister, Joey, who might have a little problem with that non-violent bit because we fought a lot when we were little. So, but I just want to say thank you. And I also remember a story that I learned, I guess, growing up. So I grew up obviously in a Mexican-American family where the Holy Trinity was always Dolores Huerta, CESAR Chavez, and Bobby Kennedy. So I thank my mom and dad for sharing those values with us when we were really little. So thank you so much. This means so much to me.
Yeah, put your hands together again for Dr. Nikki Gonzalez, Regis University. Thank you, Nikki. I had the privilege of giving the next award away. We're always looking for organizers, folks that know how to bring people together, that have charisma, that have the know-how how to talk to people, the rationality, and yet get work done. I met this young man when I was teaching at Metropolitan State University. I was the chair of the Chicano Studies Department for 12 years. And at that time, we were trying to negotiate space at the center there, called the Casa Mayan. The Casa Mayan was there. It had been there since they had regentrified that community and created the tri-institutional UNC, MSU Denver, and the community college, and we were negotiating. That's where I met this individual. I was extremely impressed with his ability to articulate concepts to the legislators, to very quote-unquote important people, to knowledgeable people about what this space meant to our community. And he did so with finesse, and he did so with respect. He did it with respect, but he did it with authority. I was impressed when we decided to get the Latino Education Coalition back together. We had run about 10 years, and then it kind of dissipated for a whole lot of different reasons. And when we began to negotiate and to struggle against DPS again, we all were on a Zoom call, and we decided to revive the Latino Education Coalition. He jumped to the front, and he began to organize. He began to set up communication systems. He began to tell people about what was happening throughout the whole state. It was phenomenal to watch him work and bring people together. I hadn't seen that kind of organizing since we used to do it back in the 60s and the 70s. I was really impressed with that. Here lately, he's been selected for the Commission 250. As you may or may not know, they're going to celebrate 150 years of the state of Colorado. Well, I can remember when we were celebrating, remember this, it's bicentennial time, Carnales. You remember that? And Lalo Delgado, remember Lalo? Lalo stood up and said, "We have no business celebrating bicentennial time." And he said, "Why are we doing this?" And so right now, this young man is carrying that on his shoulders. He is representing our communities about how we're going to be represented in 2026 as it pertains to the question of who are we and where are we going. And he's going to need a lot of support from all of us, because he's got a big task. There's going to be people that are going to argue, and they're going to call it critical race theory, and they're going to call it all these other names, that we're woke, and that we're, down with culture, whatever that's called. That's going to happen. It's going to be a battle. Why? Because we're going to tell the history of our people. They don't want to know our history. We already know that. We've had to pass HB 1911-92 in order to really tell our stories. That's going to happen again. And with that, I want to introduce one of the young upcoming leaders in our state. And I think he can go any place he wants to go in terms of what he wants to do and ever what leadership role he wants to play. Put your hands together for Milo Marquez.
I put some notes together this morning. I'm deeply honored to accept the CESAR Chavez Peace and Justice Award today. This recognition is not about me. It's a testament to the resilience and the strength of the Chicano and Latino community that I have a privilege to serve. This award belongs to each and every member of our community whose struggles and aspirations have inspired my work day in and day out. It's a reflection of our collective commitment to peace and justice and equality. CESAR Chavez's legacy looms large over us, reminding us of the power of grassroots activism and the importance of standing up for what is right. His spirit guides us as we continue to fight for social justice, dignity, and respect for all. I accept this award with deep sense of responsibility and humility. It fuels my determination to amplify the voices of the marginalized, to challenge systems of oppression, and build a more inclusive society where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. I dedicate this award to the countless individuals who have dedicated their lives to this struggle for peace and justice. Your courage, your sacrifices, and unwavering commitment inspire me every single day. Thank you to the CESAR Chavez Peace and Justice Committee for this incredible honor. I would like to thank my family who allow me to continue to work 7 days a week and during many weekends and evenings. Thank you for pushing me and making me a better man. Thank you to my mentors, Virginia Castro, Dr. Ramon del Castillo, Nita Gonzalez, Patricia Varela Rivera, Dr. Luis Torres, Solicia Lopez, Veronica Varela, Cecilia Benavides, Selena Garcia, who helped guide me with their knowledge, history, and wisdom every day. Let us continue to march forward together, hand in hand, until we achieve peace and justice that our communities deserve. Thank you so much.
Aquí en Denver hay muchas organizaciones para la juventud, hay muchos grupos, y Alexandra, our next awardee, has been involved in many of those organizations. She's worked with the International Indigenous Youth Council, Future Coalitions, the Women's from the Mountains, Student Voice, Student Vote Coalition, Project Voices, Voices of Creative Equality. Also, Alexandra is a member of the Colorado Brown Berets. Because the Brown Berets are still around. They were formed back during the Chicano movement of the 1960s. She was raised by her Mexican parents, and she says that her Chicana upbringing has played a big role in her becoming socially conscious at an early age. Her advocacy work in education policy began in her sophomore year in school. She gradually became more involved in fighting for social issues that she witnessed in her world. Now, with her background in educational policy, she joined the Student Voice, Student Vote Coalition, which is trying to get 17-year-olds the right to vote in school board elections and in regular elections. She has worked with a group called the Safe Outdoor Space, where in Commerce City provides safe space for homeless people to have tents and food. She would go every Sunday to deliver home-cooked food. Alexandra has worked for Project Voices. Project Voices envisions a world in which Black, Indigenous, and people of color are equitable partners in achieving collective healing and liberation. Alexandra grew up in Commerce City, and she became a climate activist because of the effects of the Suncor energy refinery, one of the state's biggest polluters. Now, Alexandra was featured in the 23 May issue of Vogue magazine, okay, for her work as a climate activist. It's a wonderful article with dozens of beautiful pictures by Carlos Aramillo, and I would recommend that you go to that article and read it. The title of the article is Meet the Climate Activists Demanding Action Against Colorado's Only Oil Refinery. You should read it. Alessandra.
First, I want to thank the committee for Charlene nominating me, and I guess they should have gone first. I want to thank the Creator, God, the universe, whoever we believe in, and I want to thank my baby and my partner for supporting me in this struggle, supporting me to continue these passions that I have for social justice. Without my partner, I wouldn't be able to continue this work, so I truly want to give this thanks to him. I want to le quiero dar gracias a mi abuela que está acá. My grandma is the person who taught me to talk to the animals, as small as the ants, the trees, and she taught me humility, and I carry those values every day of my life. I want to thank my parents for raising me to be respectful, to raising me to have pride in who I am, raising me to be proud of where I'm from, not just from where I'm from, but for where you guys are from, Chulco Town in Juarez. I want to give thanks to my mentors, Solicia Lopez, Tomas Lopez. I want to give thank you to my tias, my tios, and my brothers who are not here, my cousins who are not here. They've all informed the person who I am. They've raised me with love. They taught me to fight when I'm hurt, and usually the fight is if someone hurts you, you fight back. And for me, the system is hurting us, so I have to fight back. I want to give thanks to all the opportunities that have came throughout me following my heart, and I want to continue to raise and elevate young people who are fighting for social justice movements, because they are our future and they're the ones who know how to solve the issues that we're going through right now. Lastly, I want to give thank you to the land that's raised me, all three, Commerce City, Green Valley, and Montbello. They've all informed all these experiences that have pushed me to advocate for my people. And I want to thank Jeanette Vizguerra. She's taught me to be a chingona and be unapologetic about my struggles. So yeah, again, I want to thank the committee for nominating me and for giving me this award.
Every year the Peace and Justice Committee gives out an organizational award. Y tenemos el honor hoy de presentar el premio de liderazgo a Homies Unidos of Denver. Homies Unidos of Denver se estableció en 2015 under the leadership of Gerardo Lopez, the executive director of the organization. Homies Unidos is a chapter of the Homies Unidos based in Los Angeles, California. Since the beginning, the center of programming has been about gang prevention and intervention of Denver youth. The organization recognizes that building relationships with positive role models and collected and including family members is important while establishing positive change. Their social justice footprint is rooted in peace and justice, addressing the root causes that impacts the lives and addressing these issues by mentoring and violence prevention. One of the promotional components is to teach Joven Noble, which is a curriculum promoting positive youth development, leadership, and crime prevention. Testimonies of young men talking about Homies Unidos and Gerardo have positively impacted their everyday lives. They also work on immigration and food justice, which is so relevant today. Over the years, they have marched with us, have had a booth at our event to outreach to youth and families alike. While Homies Unidos is not 10 years old here in Denver, they have already created change for generations to come. We would like to present this award to Homies Unidos, and please meet Gerardo Lopez, the Executive Director of Homies Unidos de Denver.
Thank you. I'd like to bring my team up here. Thank you, everybody. It's a great honor for this award. Wow, you guys really went all out with this award. You know, the stuff that Homies Unidos has been able to accomplish, it has not been, it wasn't possible with the people that started Homies Unidos. The original founder of Homies Unidos, his name is Magdaleno Rose Avila. He is a native from Colorado. He went to El Salvador. He had a grant to go study violence. He went to El Salvador and he was able to get some gang members out there to denounce violence and to start an organization. And in the beginning they were saying, okay, let's call it Homeboys Unidos, but the homegirls were like, hell nah, hold on. So they landed on the name Homies Unidos. Then Homies Unidos and Magdaleno went to Los Angeles when he met our founder over there, Alex Sanchez, and I was a young youth in the group dealing with violence issues myself, in and out of jail, and he recruited me and other people to begin these social justice movements, to understand that what we were doing was hurting our community, hurting each other, and we stopped that community from the barrio pipeline that we have going into prisons. So the mission of Homies Unidos is to end violence and promote peace in our communities through gang prevention and intervention. The promotion of immigrant human rights and the empowerment of our youth leaders for them to be able to have the biggest, fullest potential to be able to live in a life that's full of health and a just, safe place. My team right here, Marlene over here, let's give it up for Marlene, Alan, Andrew. These are people, and these are testaments from Homies Unidos that they came up like myself. We breed our own people. They came through the program, and now they work for Homies Unidos. They're going to college, and they're also organizing social justice movimientos. Over here we have, where did they go? They're probably hiding in the back. But shout out to Maria, Ivan, Yomi, that come over here and support the movement too. When I was walking over here, or when I was getting ready to march, I was starting to remember all the great people that had marched along these streets, like the great CESAR Chavez, the great Jorge Gonzalez. And I was thinking like this, I was thinking, man, what an honor to march like this. Should I wear my Chucks or should I wear my Nike Cortezes? But I see that I wear my Chucks, and Alessandro out here wore Nike Cortezes. But it wasn't about the shoes, right? It was about the movimientos. There's so many footsteps that came right there with so many different types of shoes, so many different types of footprints that had marched from right there to the Capitol to across the world to be talking about social justice. And lastly, a quote from the great CESAR Chavez. He once said, in order for a great dream to happen, there must be great opportunity in order for us to be able to dream. The second thing to happen is persistency. And we're right here, persistent to march together as an organization. Doesn't matter if you get this type of funding. Doesn't matter if I get that type of funding. Doesn't matter if sometimes we're not on the same page. But it's to be right here, like CESAR Chavez says, unidos. Unidos, united, we will go ahead and stand tall. And today, as the organization, we are united, we are unidos, we are Homies Unidos, y que viva CESAR Chavez, y que viva Jorge González.